got it right for the last day of the week.
That's all that matters.
Who knew? Absolutely. It is. You finish strong is basically how it goes. It is Soccer Down Here, Soccer's morning show. John here, Jarrett there. Show this morning, as is always on Freestyle Friday, 9:30. Our friends from Beyond Goals will join us. Greg Garza hopping in on the conversation. We'll catch up with him about the conversation that he had with Walton's program yesterday. He went to Raider Valley. They also have started doing their own independent interviews, and they caught up with Driver. Darlington Nagby was their guest. And so we'll catch up with them on that and anything else that crosses our bow from 9:30, 10 o'clock. We'll get you ready for the weekend and anything else that's going on. Opening kickoff. I'm going to waste no time, Jarrett. Opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. And there it is, your QR code for those of you who are watching on Twitch. So for this morning's opening kickoff, hey, did you see that Cristiano Ronaldo scored 4 goals for Al Nassr?
Hey, do you know I have pets?
I was not aware.
I'm sorry, I thought we were talking about things that don't matter. My bad.
There you go. Attaboy. Following along.
Also, Coco has chosen violence, and I appreciate it because, yes, we are always up for anti-Walton violence here.
Yeah. For those of you who are Cobb Countyans and understand what's going on, yes, Atlanta Driver was part of their interview, so we'll catch up with him on that. So that's your opening kickoff.
If you too have been subjected to Raider Valley's decrepit facilities of a press box, you may be entitled to emotional compensation, if nothing else.
Well, and the constant hum of the power lines that are over in one end zone. I mean, that's part of it too. So yeah, he scored. Way to go, CR37. Congratulations. This is the sound of one hand clapping.
I mean, he's doing what I expect him to do, and what I think everyone expects him to do, which is go to a place where he's going to get paid tons of money to put up numbers. It's going to probably look like an exhibition at times, but he'll do exactly what he's supposed to do, which is give the people a show.
Give the people what they want. That's your opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee. KickoffCoffeeco.com. That's your QR code for those of you who are watching on Twitch. Don't forget to use the code Soccer Down Here 15 with our friends at Kickoff Coffee. Get 15% off of your purchase, and then they in turn take 10% reinvested into the youth game. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and KickoffCoffeeco.com. Things that are far more important. Tank is here. It is now officially Minotaur season, Jarrett. We didn't get to talk to you about this yesterday.
No, you really didn't get a chance to. Sorry, I'm watching all anti-Walton bias appear on the. Coco, I believe, went to Wheeler, and then we have people who may or may not have spent time at Walton, and Cobb County bias gets real petty real fast. Speaking as the Osborne graduate, which is a place that develops and then fosters and grows an inferiority complex that is really impressive. So there's that.
Yes. But Tank is in. The Minotaur is in. It is Minotaur season. And I know that you have had the opportunity to sit there and look at him more than the average bear. And when you look at the front line possibilities of Yakimakis, Etienne, Aruju, with Almada coming in behind, coming in from, say, a Brooks Lennon Cross, you would probably have Andrew Gutman on the far post. Or if Andrew Gutman decided to send it in with the left, then you'd have Brooks Lennon at the back post. This could be pretty fun, sir.
Yeah, it could be. We'll have to see how it looks like in execution, and it might take some time. I think that's going to be part of the conversation here. Is it's going to take time for it all to work.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work out the gate, don't get too mad, I guess, because it's going to take time to build that chemistry between them all. I mean, you're already asking Araujo to continue what he's done in preseason, which he did in last year too. His preseason last year was evil. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
to be honest, I mean, he was on fire last year in the preseason. Scores in the first game, blows his hamstring, kind of lays the groundwork for a rough story all season for Atlanta United with injuries. And he never really recaptured that form and really was, I think, pushing as the season went on. But if he can carry it this year into the regular season, you like your opportunities. As I said before, my thing with this is that it's different kinds of wingers that he's going to be playing with slightly. Like Lilabata and Jota are more, they're very technical. They're quick. They're not as fast as Etienne and Araujo are. And I want to see, how much you get of Giakoumakis, dropping back and letting guys play off of him and then making those runs into the box, and how often he's able to post up in the box. Because he's a horse. He's 6'1", and he has ragdolled center backs in Scotland. Which, look, there's a lot of things in Scotland that you can roll your eyes at when it comes to the SPFL. A lot of that league is not on the same level. The physicality of the center backs is one of those things, though, that you should consider. Numerous players, same with Pookie. I'm looking at you. He of recent Norwich fame. Pretty blunt about, I went to Scotland. I thought it'd be a walk, and they beat my ass because it's incredibly physical, and it's very almost like a rock, like a cave troll kind of brutish. But Giakoumakis was able to ragdoll folks, and I think he will have the physicality to do so here. Now, the other people who need to really continue to do what they've been doing is you need, Brooks Lennon putting in the crosses. He had a really good cross percentage last 2 years. Now you need it to pay off. It's a lot of this talk is, in theory, A, B, and C look great. That's great. In theory, it looks great, and I am very excited about it. We still need it to actually exist. You know what I mean? Like, you have to see it come to fruition. Otherwise, what might have been is a conversation that everybody can have. And John's muted or lost audio? I don't know.
Yeah, that happened yesterday because I've been wanting to detach my nose basically for the last 2 days. And you hit the mute button. You think you hit the mute button again to where you can actually talk. And then,
yes, nobody's known for patience. I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so that's the weird balancing act.
Yes.
To Four Cards' point, Jason's point.
Yeah.
And Jason, I know you're being a bit tongue in cheek about it, but like, you do have to strike that balance. Like, where do you find the balance between, we got to be patient, let them build the chemistry because the talent is there, versus, okay, now we need to start seeing results. Where is that Rubicon?
Yes.
And that's going to be an interesting conversation. Schedule's pretty balanced this year compared to years past. Apple plays a part in that.
Yeah.
I don't know where that Rubicon is. It will be interesting to see.
Yeah. So that's why I wanted to get your thoughts on Giakoumakis finally coming in and being a part of something. And I know that a lot of folks, when they look at the clips of Giakoumakis, you sit there and you see that presence in there, and there's a reason they call him Tank. But there's more to his game than just that post-up ability. He can be there, and he can be that magnet for folks that can let other folks be open. And so he can create just as much havoc by posting up and drawing folks as he can with the ability that you see in those YouTube clips.
Yeah, he can. And the thing, I guess, for me is watching in the past is he can be inconsistent with the hold-up play just because when he's playing guys in, a lot of times he would go for, like, the beautiful play.
Right.
Like, he's holding it up, and he's going to put his foot down, and he's just basically going to try and redirect that ball in a very pretty way, and kind of finding that balance between holding it up and playing it, boring but effective, versus a bit of flair to it, That's going to be kind of an interesting conversation here as we watch it unfold. is, how does his hold-up play unfold? Because I think as far as getting into the box and being the guy, I think he is more than capable of that. And this is so the next step for me is, hey, who wants to go find another number 9, but one who's not a tank? Like, if that's Eric Lopez coming back on loan, cool. I don't know that it is, because we don't really know what's going on with Eric Lopez. We don't know what the situation is there with him. But I would not mind at all if they went and got another number 9 who was more of that, quick get in behind, ungodly evil inside of a 10-yard sprint kind of guy. Well, I mean, seriously, like that's what I'm thinking about is like, okay, you've got your homegrown tank. You've imported a tank who has produced.
Yep.
I wouldn't mind seeing them find a backup striker, and I don't think it would be very expensive to do.
I know a lot of folks
we'll
mentioning a Kamara.
Yeah, I mean, depends on how much money he wants and how many years he wants on that. It just depends. But I mean, I'm optimistic for Giakoumakis. I mean, so. This is an interesting. Did someone say Eric Lopez? Yes, Jason, I did. I don't know if I need to be flogged for that or not. We'll find out later when I'm being flogged or I'm not being flogged. So I started to get into this the other day, and I kind of, I don't know, didn't. Where there's going to be pressure on him, on Giakoumakis.
Oh, no doubt. Absolutely.
Because
by default, there's pressure.
Yeah, there's going to be pressure on him. On top of all of that, like, you're following Joseph Martinez, who was an absolute monster. Like, again, I don't know how else to explain. The man was literally, putting together a pace that no one had ever seen before in this league. Like, he was going, if he had kept the pace up, he was going to put Chris Wondolowski in the rearview mirror inside of like 4 or 5 years.
Right.
The record for goals in a career in MLS is like 170 something that Wando put together over a absolutely stunning career. Joseph hit 100 last year.
Mm-hmm.
That's 17, 18, 19. 20 he missed all of. 21 he missed a chunk of. 22 he missed a chunk of. I mean, and 17 he missed a big chunk of.
Mm-hmm.
That's, really 4 years worth of games that he put up 100 goals. Joseph was on the pace to absolutely obliterate that record.
Right.
There's going to be pressure on Giakoumakis just to be that guy, you're going to be the guy following the guy.
Yeah.
I think he'll be able to handle it, just because, like, and some of this has to do with the fact that, being at Celtic, because, and I would love to one day sit down and pick Carlos Bocanegra's brain about this, because he played at Rangers.
Right.
He was there during a time, I believe Maurice Adu was there as well. Adu was there as well, I think. I can't remember. I'm trying to think who else. There were a couple other Americans there at the same time. They had an American face. Here's the thing: if you're part of the old firm and you lose 4 games a year, you're going to hear about it. Like, as much as we talk about, like, in Atlanta, like, you want to win every game, it's a different animal in Scotland because of the separation of wealth, the separation of power that exists between the old firm and the rest of Scotland. I don't think it's a one-to-one comparison. We're not comparing apples to apples, but the pressure of being in a place where you are expected to win every game. The year they got boat raced 2 years ago, Neil Lennon's last year, they lost 5 games, and they got boat raced in the cup, in the league title. Excuse me, they lost 5 games.
Yeah.
Last year they lost 3, I believe. The year 2 years before that, I believe they lost 4. That's about their limit. You're basically given as you're expected to lose. It is a damn near unfair standard you were held to as a player playing for one of those two clubs.
Absolutely.
I think he will be able to handle different aspects of the pressure. Sorry, go ahead.
No, to answer your question, 2011 Rangers had Moadu and Ali Bedoya along with Carlos Bocanegra.
Yeah. Gooch was on there, one of those teams too, I think. Not that one, but let me think. I can't remember what year it was. Anyway, yeah, you had that stretch where you had a bunch of Americans playing there. I'd love to pick Carlos Bocanegra's brain about it because if I'm not mistaken, he's mentioned in the past that he really did enjoy his time at Rangers. And that's a great period in recent Rangers history. You're getting into like just before administration, before they had to basically cease to exist and rebuild themselves and start from the ground up.
Thank you, Craig White.
Thank you again, Craig White. But like just before that is a really good period of Rangers history. They made I think they made a Europa League final or a Champions League like quarterfinal in the years just before that. Like it's a really good era of their history, recent history, excuse me. But I think that almost unfair pressure that exists in Glasgow for one of the old firm clubs, it does help you translate to the idea of, hey, you're going to be held to a standard that's really going to suck sometimes. Like good luck because it's going to be really tough, and there are absolutely probably going to be times where you're going to feel like this is insane. We can't win every single game. So
we'll see. Yeah, the 13-14 season was the end of the American influence at Rangers. Carlos had his contract terminated the year before Moadu and Ali Bedoya were gone. So that was that 3-year stretch that you were talking about. It was Adu, it was Ali Bedoya, and it was Carlos Bocanegra. So that's your Rangers down here from the 2011s through basically 2013-14. So that's your American influence there. And I think knowing Old Firm and everything that is attached to it, I think that Giakoumakis can handle. I think Giakoumakis can handle Major League Soccer, considering what Old Firm is at both of those locations and what it means on not just the wins and losses level, but everything that's attached to it. All of the undertones that are attached to Old Firm. You're either Catholic or you're Protestant, you're blue or you're green, all those kinds of things. I think that Giakoumakis can handle it.
And he talked about his, he's pretty religious. So, I mean, he mentioned it as well in his interview questions with Atlanta United. So, I'm sure some of that had something to do with dealing with some of the Old Firm because there still has that undertone. That it's more of an undertone than it was, say, 20 years ago of the religious side of it, but it's still it's tough. But I think he's had experience with a different kind of pressure that can benefit him for this. Just I would argue like, hey, just do you.
Yes.
Don't try to be something you're not, and that's so much easier said than done.
Yeah.
And I get that. Like, I get that it is. I get that it is easier said than done, and it's easy to sit here and say like, "Hey, man, just play your game." But like you came in, he's not dumb. He knows who he's following, what he's staring at.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I am interested to see.
Coco Pitti did not get any assistances in the game for CR37. One of them was a penalty. Because when you asked, I went back and dug it up. But no Pitti assistances. He was not in the game day 18 for that particular game. And, so CR37 did what he did, scored 4. One of them was a pen. Congratulations. Happy for you. So that's your statistical update for CR37 at Al Nassr. And, great on you. But I am looking, and Pitti has actually been playing Coco at Al Nassr. He has been putting in some minutes. I'm really looking forward to Giakoumakis just being himself, and I know that, and who was it? I think it was Nix who said that there's going to be the expectation because of who he is replacing. And yeah, Coco Gigi will have a different gravity to him than Joseph, but he will have gravity. That is absolutely true. Nix, Sosa, whatever's up with his hand, remember, he's not going to be involved in the first 2 matches of the year, and they did the same thing with Alan Franco last year. If you're not going to be in that first game or the first 2 games from jump, they're trying to work on relationships and figure out what the midfield needs to be. So that's why if Sosa is hurt next with that hand, because we did see the wrap in Chattanooga, just remember he's not going to be a part of the first 2 matches, and so that's why you're not seeing him as a part of what's going on so far with Atlanta United in the rosters that we have been able to see matches. That's what I'm saying. So
we had these conversations like preseason, take it is what it is.
Yes.
We'll see how it all unfolds in preseason. It's hard to it's kind of hard to say sometimes.
So just remember that that those comments and that attention is going to be there because of who he is replacing, but let him get integrated with what could be some scary fun offense up top. He'll find his place and he'll find his footing, and it's not about necessarily him being the focal point of all of it. He will be gravity. He will have that gravitational pull, but it's not about him necessarily scoring 37 goals like you would with Joseph in his prime. It's about the layoff. It's about the dummy. It's about, being a decoy. It's about having that gravitational presence so you can have Etienne work. You can have Gutman work. You can have Almada work. You can have Luis work, that kind of a stuff. So he's a part of the spoke in that wheel that can give you a bunch of different things. That's what you're looking forward to. And while, yes, he can do pretty things, he doesn't have to do pretty things all the time.
And we'll see. So at this point, I want to see, hopefully we get a chance to, see kind of how things look at, the AmFam Cup coming up, for instance.
Yes. AmFam Boogaloo.
Yes. Kind of in a dress rehearsal sense, because, you've seen them kind of experiment with different things in preseason, which makes sense. I mean, you're building up guys. We can talk in the bottom of the hour about, how you deal with preseason on the player side, on the mental side of it, building up not just the physical, but the mental endurance of, dealing with games, that sort of thing. So.
Once again, if I remember to unmute myself, we'll catch up with you at the top of the hour, Jarrett.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so we'll see you at 10 o'clock because it's 9:30.
I'll try to.
Yes, when you can, please come in hour number 2. There's plenty of stuff to talk about because it's that time, when folks drop by 9:30 on Friday mornings, and so we're gonna test technology here, or we're gonna test John and his ability with technology. So here we go. 9:30 means one thing on a Friday. It's this guy, Greg Garza.
What's up? Long time no chat, man.
No kids. It's good to see you. And I know that you have been running around this and every other planet known to mankind. What has it been the last couple of weeks for Globetrotter Greg Garza?
Just traveling, seeing friends, visiting people, obviously seeing kids, just working along as always, man.
When you get to drift into these situations and you get to catch up when mentoring and friends and things like that, I think it gives you the opportunity to kind of see, because we get caught in our bubbles and there's only so much that we can take in our lives when we're working in offices and we're working in studios. You get those opportunities to drift out and you get to sit there and see how things are in the outside world. And I think that what you were doing, and I wanted to talk about this. It's like you're getting to see kids at Walton High School. Raider Valley got to catch up with Beyond Goals and things like that. There's nothing better than, as much as we do virtual these days, there's nothing better than being right there in front of someone to give them that feedback face to face.
Most definitely, right? There's I'm definitely a handshake type of person, face to face, eye to eye. Having those in-depth conversations is something that means a lot. I think to all mentors and to all, whether it's teachers or coaches. It's been a blessing to have the opportunity to travel and also see a lot of our mentees in person, whether they be from Portland, New York City, California, Dallas, Florida. It doesn't matter. It was funny. A couple of weeks ago, I had a player who plays for the Portland Twos and is currently at the under-17 qualifying with the U.S. national team. And I was in the airport, and I just happened to send him a message to catch up, and he was connecting through Atlanta. So just hopped on the train, got to go see him in another terminal while I was waiting for my flight, and that was the first time we met in person. And that just that says a lot of the multitude of sessions that we had online, but to kind of really build that bond and relationship even more, and kind of meet that kid in person. I think it meant that much more to him, and kind of creating that impact of even just seeing me in person and saying, holy crap, man, you're a lot smaller than I imagined. How did you play professional for 13 years? But just the little things, that mean that much more to a lot of these kids. So it's an honor to do so, and to continue to, kind of spread that word, spread that knowledge, spread that wisdom.
So interaction is different in person than it is virtually.
I would say you are able to really get out of virtual conversations. I believe so, because you're still connecting, you're still creating that personalized bond, that personalized relationship, that intimate. That I always say with every mentee that we have, it's always an open book relationship, and it's an open book conversation. In today's world, kids are behind a screen more than they want to talk. More than they want to talk in person. So there are many mentees that I have, or that I'm sure Mike has as well, and that we have in general, that are able to share so much with us over an email that they write us, or over a text message. Unfortunately, we don't have TikTok and Snapchat and all these things that these kids have nowadays, or Be Real, or whatever it may be. Exactly. But there are some ways that they are to really connect and kind of explain to us what they are feeling, or the frustrations that they're going through, or those sentiments that they have regarding certain situations. And I think sometimes virtually is a great way to start off with them, because it allows them to kind of be behind a screen and kind of gain that confidence to speak, rather than with a lot of the kids that we have, that first in person can be somewhat intimidating for them, to where they don't want to say much at all, and they kind of just sit back and listen. And then if you get them behind a screen, they're able to open up a little more. So it's a mix and match of just different kids. And that's the cool thing about mentoring, is that every kid is completely different. Every kid thinks differently. Every kid thinks about self-acceptance differently. Every kid thinks about pressure differently. So it's fun for us to learn as well.
I was going to ask you, and you mentioned it. So obviously you've been reading my notes this morning. When it comes to interactions, when you get that first in-person interaction, there is that element of shyness, and oh crap, Greg Garza is standing in front of me, or oh crap, Michael Parkhurst is standing in front of me, or oh crap, they're both standing in front of me. And you get intimidated by the fact that, man, there's someone who's been a professional athlete, represented his country, those kinds of things, and I'm standing next to them, and they kind of get stuck in, it's like they're stuck in their environment, and they forget why they're there almost, and then that opportunity goes away, and so you get that virtual element coming in behind to help out in that regard. Do you see kids still intimidated a whole lot when you guys first show up?
I would say quite a bit. I would say the younger kids most definitely, because and a lot of the younger kids don't even really realize or remember who we are, right? Okay. But I think just the fact that they have a professional or someone who played professionally in front of them kind of makes them think a little bit differently. Whereas with a lot of the older kids that we work with, I feel that most of them are very determined of exactly what they want out of life, whether it is to try and pursue to be a professional athlete, or to use soccer to reach the highest level that they can and use it for something else, whether it be an education or whatever it may be. But you get a multitude of times, a handful of times, to where a lot of kids do feel that intimidation. They do feel that nervousness and kind of that pressure to kind of explain or say what's going on. And sometimes that's what the benefit is of having the parent nearby, or having the mom or dad kind of to the side to kind of help them explain or help them share something that's been on their mind for quite some time.
Is there one question that you guys are asked the most in these mentee situations, whether it's the town hall, whether you're in person or in the one-on-ones virtual? Is there one question that you're asked more than the others right now?
I would say criticism is a huge one.
Mm-hmm.
How to receive criticism, how to understand what criticism is, whether it be constructive or sometimes just getting yelled at. And it can come from the parent, the coach, whoever's kind of guiding that kid in particular. But criticism is a big one, and then obviously preparation before a game. What do you do? What do you do to get the nerves away? What do you do to kind of get through that pressured moment? And we've spoken a lot about it, even between us, is just kind of helping those kids understand why they're there, the opportunity that's in front of them, the challenges that they'll face, and to kind of embrace and cherish those opportunities that are right there, and kind of live in the power of now rather than think of, what will be after.
Is there a question that you'd like to be asked that hasn't really come up a whole lot these days?
Yeah, that's a good question. I guess
I'm sure that there are topics that you'd like to talk about, and you're waiting for that trigger, you're waiting for that moment or that activation from your mentee, and the moment goes away, and you're thinking that this might be the opening for that particular topic, and then the moment goes, and then you kind of both forget about it, and then you cycle back whenever.
I think when I get the goosebumps the most of whenever I'm speaking to my mentees, is really when it's trying to help that kid find motivation.
Right.
That for me is, I think, what I'm most passionate about. Helping that kid feel motivated towards whatever it may be, whether it is the game, whether it is school, whether it is life in general. Because at the end of the day, we know kids deal with so much emotional stress and so much external pressure or peer pressure or all of these different things that they're going through, within hormones building up or understanding what life is, and I think we've all been through that as teenagers, as young adults. You're trying to kind of figure out your own identity, right? Whether it be on the field or whether it be in school, whether it be in life in general. And I think my most passionate moments, and obviously I love working with players in general, just to understand the game and speak around the game. But I would say my most passionate moments are really trying to help those kids feel motivated towards what's in front of them. And when you see a kid down, a great example, I had a kid the other day that was you could just tell from the very get-go that was just struggling mentally, right? And not necessarily has to do with anything with soccer. You could just tell from the very beginning that kid was just struggling in general, right? Had no confidence towards himself whatsoever, no motivation towards anything, and kind of giving those kids some examples, and giving that kid in particular some examples of my life in general, of the ups and downs, of kind of why to feel grateful for what's in front of you, how to motivate yourself, how to continue to dream towards what you truly want in life. And then at the end of it, to get that kid to smile and get that kid to, kind of laugh about certain things, whether it be a clowny joke that I make or whatever it might be, and kind of reference it. But those are my most passionate moments that I can say, okay, I get a text message from that mom 15 minutes after the conversation and say, thank you so much. Because he's been struggling the past couple of weeks, or he hasn't been, himself the past couple of weeks, and him coming off that and sitting down at the dinner table and being lively and being open and kind of being a brighter person. Those are the moments that I think that obviously are the most gratifying moments in what we do.
because there's nothing better, I think, than being able to be a part of lifting someone up, no matter where we do it and how we do it. You and Michael and any mentor have those opportunities to sit there and put your arm around somebody that you can sit there and see for whatever reason they're struggling. Could be athletic, could be academic, could be just, life. And you put your arm around them and you kind of break everything down. It's like, it's going to be okay. Just, you got this. And I don't think enough young people, really, I don't think a lot of us get enough of that "you got this" from those that are in our circle these days. I think that that's sorely missing, and I think that when you and Mike get the chance to do that, you're telling us about those kind of dividends.
Most definitely. I think for us, being, you said it, being someone that can be in a kid's corner, or just an adult's corner, or whatever it may be possible, just to kind of push them forward and push them towards whatever it might be that they're trying to accomplish, or whatever it might be that they're going through. We can only hear so much from our parents, right? We can only hear so much from our parents, whether it be a very high expectation that we have from them, or continuous and constant support that we have from them, and those constant voices, sometimes kind of become more distant as you continue to hear them, and sometimes having someone else that can provide a little bit more of an impact, or kind of tell you, hey, I've been there, done that, or I've kind of been through the same trials and tribulations, and this is what came off of it, can kind of give that person an extra piece of motivation to kind of guide themselves by.
And it's that different perspective, because sometimes if we hear the same voices telling us the same things, no matter if it's positive and how positive it is, sometimes the message gets lost because you're still hearing the same thing over and over again from the same source. To hear that information from a different source, even if the information is still the same, of "you got this," and it's coming from outside your normal circle, that can be just as impactful, or even more so, because you're catching it from outside your normal listening patterns.
Most definitely. I mean, you hit it on the nail right there. That's so true. There's so many kids that just need that extra voice, or that external voice to kind of help them get through of whatever they're going through.
When you look at everything these days, I know that your expectation levels, we talk about expectation levels, and your expectation levels of yourself, I know, are very, very high when it comes to mentoring. How difficult is it for you as a mentor, knowing what you'd like to accomplish, knowing what the messaging that you want to get out? How difficult is it for you to, I don't want to say temper expectations, but at the same time sit there and it's like, I hit a home run today, I want to hit a home run every day, but you might not be able to do that. What is that mindset and that processing like for you about doing your best? And sometimes it might not be the best that it was the previous day before.
That's a great question. There are a lot of ups and downs, right? That's what life is all about, right? You learn from certain experiences, you learn from certain mistakes that you make, and you try and help yourself afterwards, or you try and see how you can fix it and how you can make it better. I think at the end of the day, what I've learned, whether it's speaking with Boys and Girls Clubs, Title I schools, motivationally speaking, kids with are in juvie, kids that are in ISS, OSS, all different types of organizations, to where it can be extremely hard to motivate those young individuals, right? Of all of those programs that I just mentioned, it can be extremely hard to motivate any single one of those individuals, because of where they come from, because of what they've endured in life, because of where they currently are, because of the mistakes that they've made. And it's kind of, sometimes a lot of those kids say, well, what the heck is this guy going to tell me that's going to make me feel better? Right. And I think me having the opportunity to be involved in so many places of that, of those programs within the community, has given me a better outlook on, if I am able to impact one out of those 100 kids that was in that room, then I've done my job. And that's kind of where I kind of use that experience and kind of use that mentality to where, okay, if I'm mentoring 5 kids a day, as long as one of those kids takes my message and is able to kind of really look at himself after that meeting and look at himself in the mirror and be like, I feel so much better about myself. I'm going to kill it tomorrow in tomorrow's game. I'm going to absolutely, bury a PK if I have one or whatever it might be, and just kind of have that extra amount of confidence, then I know my job is done. And so I think that's definitely the mindset that I've had, and I think being involved in those programs throughout the longevity of my career kind of helped me realize that, right? And every place that you talk to, every motivational speaker that goes and speaks to a business or a corporation, or it's a salesman, there's going to be some salesmen, there's going to be some business people within those organizations that are going to say, I could give two craps about what this guy has to say, right? But there are going to be people that do listen to that person and do take to heart and see how they can kind of transform their lives or transform their work ethic or transform their environment around them to think a different way. And I know that motivational speaker as well is probably thinking that's all I want. I don't need a standing ovation. I don't need the whole entire room to say, wow, you are amazing at what you do. All I need is one person. And that kind of goes towards what I talk to about players all the time. And all of my moments that I was rejected in my career, or all of my moments that I failed trials, or that I went on tests and I absolutely failed them, right, of trying out for teams or whatever it may be. It didn't take a village to tell me that Greg Garza was a good player, right? It just took one person to believe in me. And that's kind of the mindset that you have to have. And I think in today's world, so many kids deal with that self-acceptance of, well, all of these coaches have to say I'm a good player. All of these people have to say I'm a good player. I don't want to be criticized. I don't want to be criticized more than I'm praised. And kind of helping them understand of what Mike always says, that life is not fair.
Right.
And you will be criticized much more than you are praised, especially if you want to do soccer for the rest of your life. But that's what comes with that's what comes with what you love. And, as long as you realize and believe and have faith in your own ability and realize that there are going to be people that do enjoy, whether it is your play or whether it is your speech or whatever it may be, that's kind of the mindset I have through mentoring and keeping that motivation for myself.
Greg Garza, Beyond Goals Mentoring at BG Mentoring on the Twitters, hanging out with us for the Friday Free Kick, as he and Michael do at 9:30 every Friday morning. When you have your conversations with your mentees, is there one particular element in your life, whether it's professional, personal, whatever, when you're talking to your mentees, that hits home more than any other when you're talking about life with your mentees? What seems to be the most impactful thing in your life that you bring to the table that helps your mentees out?
Excuse me. I would say probably helping them understand rejection, helping them understand failure, is a part of not only life, but a player's story, that every player can sit on a podcast, sit on an interview, or just speak to anyone in general and tell you that they have failed multiple times in their career, right? Whether it be a wrong decision that they made, whether it be a business transaction that went wrong within the light of line of soccer, or we were getting traded or whatever it might be. There's so many failure moments that are in my career, whether it be dealing with injury, dealing with adversity, dealing with, the lowest of low moments, and still finding a way to climb yourself back up. Those are the moments that I think that resonate most with the kids, because most of them have not been there yet. Most of them have endured some sort of moment of resilience, but not something that has been major. And kind of helping them and giving them a standard to look to say, holy crap, this guy's been through a lot.
Yeah.
And he was still successful. Wow, that's pretty cool. And so, I think that they understand and they kind of take that and look at it and say, okay, if that comes along in my youth career, if in my professional career, whether I have a corporate job or whether I'm playing soccer, I'm going to know how to handle it, and I'm going to know how to get through it. And those are probably the moments that kind of, resonate the most and sit well with most of the kids.
Is there one moment in your life/career that still resonates with you that is a driving force one way or the other?
Yeah, most definitely. I think just looking back at the peak of my career, right? In 2015, I had just gotten on loan with a buyout clause of, I think $2 million with Atlas, and it was my biggest contract that I had ever signed. I was a starter on the national team. I was just about to go to Copa America, and my body just started to crumble on me, and understanding that, okay, well, I'm gonna have to make a pretty big and decision to where I had teams from championship watching me, I had teams from Italy watching me, teams from Holland, from Belgium, and thinking I was gonna make the move back to Europe, and then all of a sudden kind of get my hip surgery, and be out of the game for about a year and 2 months. And so to be at the highest peak of my career and then just to go all the way down, it really sucked. And that's the best word I can always give the kids, is that life sucked in that moment. Understanding that my recovery was, I didn't just do one side of my hip, I did both hips, and I did sports hernia surgery, which was just like a C-section cut all across my the front part of my pelvis. And being in a wheelchair for the first few weeks and a month, and then being bedridden for the first 3 weeks and not really be able to do much, and then from there, essentially learning how to walk again in a pool. Right, you're learning how to take step by step. You're not just getting up and regularly walking and running and jogging and back to it. But I was essentially learning how to make step by step, ever beyond thinking I was going to ever see the field again at that point, right? Thinking, okay, well, if I got to learn how to walk again, how the hell am I going to kick a soccer ball? And then, all those things happen for a reason, and having the ability to kind of get back to where I wanted to be. And I think, I'm a huge believer in God, and a huge believer that, all is written and everything kind of happens for a reason. And God placed certain people in my life within those moments to kind of guide me along the way. And being in Mexico and being in a different, environment, and maybe at that moment, not really having too many people to kind of guide me along the way. And I had the ability to have, this guy is Carlos Peçanha, who is a Brazilian, but works with the Mexican national team. He's the head physio for the Mexican national team, if you ever watched the Mexican national team play. But he was with Piojo Herrera, which had absolutely no interest in me when I came back to Cholos, because he had his team set. But Carlos Peçanha was the head physio, and he brought him along. And I got to work with him for that whole entire year. And if I did not have him in my career at that set point, I probably wouldn't have ever come back to play the game of soccer. And it was, I just look back at that and I say, and I'm forever grateful for that guy. We still talk till this day, because I'm sure I'm probably one of those guys that he looks back in his career and says, and probably one of the most gratifying moments of his career as a physio, and say, how the hell did I get that guy back on the field? And what did I do? And that probably gives him hope for other people that go through the exact same thing, or for other people that go through even much worse, is that I can use him as a reference. I can use him as an example of saying, I was able to get that guy back on the field. I'll be able to get you back on the field. And, it's, you look at moments, and I think most gratifying moments in my career is making it back, being able to get this, unimaginary loan to Atlanta United to kind of revive my career and kind of just give it one more shot of playing the beautiful game again, and having the ability to even play soccer again. And then within the first year, making the All-Star team, and the second year winning the MLS Cup. So, looking at those moments and then taking those moments and using it with Minties, it's those for me, beyond any other moment within my career, just show, what you've gone as a pro, what you endure, lowest of low moments, but always finding a way to climb back up the ladder, and making things happen. I see one of the comments, I will not be there for the AmFam Cup, but I will be there for the home opener. So I will be actually at the backyard at the Home Depot. I have an appearance, so if anybody wants to come say hi, I'm pretty sure I'll be there. I might have to check.
Okay, so Bernd is asking now, what would your advice be to George Bello? He's stuck as a backup in Bundesliga B, dropped from the national team, etc. If you could sit down with George Bello right now, with everything that George is going through and not going through by not playing a whole lot right now, and stuck in a situation where it could be a double relegation.
I know, yeah.
With what's going on, what would you tell George?
Yeah, you see, and he's not the only one. You see Gianluca Busio as well, right? Another guy. Venezia is for sure going to go down to the third tier in Italy as well. It's so difficult for those guys that have, made their jump to Europe at essentially, I guess, the right time, right? I think it was George's perfect time to go because, I think once you make a name for yourself, you kind of try and make that jump as quickly as possible into the best situation. You look at Ricardo Pepi as well, who kind of dealt with the exact same thing and now seems to be doing all right. But those are part of football moments, right? Those are part of what you sign up for. You never know what's going to happen. You just got to continue to work and trust your own process, right? And that's one thing that I talk a lot with a lot of my mentees that are playing at a high level, right? And it even be with kids that are in MLS academies, right? You want to trust their process in developing you as the best player that you can be. And that is true, right? But at the end of the day, you have to trust your own process as well. And your own process is making sure that you can do everything within your benefit and your ability to be best prepared for whatever is to come for tomorrow, because none of us know what tomorrow brings as a professional athlete. None of us knows what tomorrow brings as someone who is playing at a very high level. But you do have the ability and you do have the choice to work every single day to be prepared for what's next. And that would be my biggest and best advice for those guys, is to, even if you're not playing, even if you're not seeing the field, even if you are the backup, or even if you're in second or third Bundesliga, it does not matter. Continue to work for what's exactly right in front of you, because there might be a moment to where there might be an opportunity for you to grab onto, and you have to know how to hold on to it. And so I would say just being best prepared, even when you're dealing with those trials and tribulations and kind of dealing with those adverse moments, to stay cool and calm and continue to work towards whatever tomorrow might bring, because he might have a transfer opportunity at one point. And if anybody, clubs talk, right? Directors, GMs talk. And if somebody goes up and asks, hey, how's George Bello doing right now, even though he's not playing? And they say, friggin' worst attitude I've ever seen. Guy doesn't play and he's not showing up every single day. Well, guess what? You've now crushed those opportunities to get that transfer that maybe you were wanting. So if George Bello is still the first, if I were to talk to George Bello, I'd say still be the first one there every single day, and be the last one to leave every single day. Exaggerate in the extra. Do extra running, do extra gym, do extra wind bike, whatever it might be. Take extra ice baths. Show that you are not only the best player there, but the best pro. And that'll ultimately, there's going to be an opportunity for him to see better days and brighter days. But he's got to be ready for it.
Because you can't, what is it they say? You can't have there's no second chance to make a first impression.
Very true.
And if your attitude is negative and that black cloud and that aura is there, and yes, you're at practice, but you're just going through the motions, that rubs off on folks. And if somebody's knocking on your door, it's like, man, that guy, you're interested in that guy. He just kind of shows up, goes through the motions at practice, kicks the ball around at drills. He's out the door. You can tell he's checked out mentally. I can't sign off on him. I can't give him a good rec. On the other hand, if he is that first guy in, last guy to leave, if he is that guy that is busting as you know what, that's going to rub off just as much. And if someone's knocking on your door, even if you're not getting the playing time, you still can make those kinds of impressions on folks that might have an interest in you.
Most definitely. And you said it perfectly, right? I always tell my mentees, it's all about the first impression that you give and the last impression that you leave, right? The first impression that you give ultimately plans out everything that you're going to, endure or go through throughout the season, throughout the years that you're going to be there, whatever it may be. And the last impression that you leave ultimately leaves those doors open because you never know when you see that person again. You might see that GM, you might see that director, you might see that coach at another club. And, you know, the world of soccer is a very small one if you really think about it. So always using those as best examples are extremely important in today's world.
All right, what's the latest with Beyond Goals? I know that high school soccer season is in full. It is in full song. We've got our games tonight at El Clasico up in Gainesville. You've been talking to folks. What's going on at Beyond Goals?
Sweet. We have been keeping busy with so many high schools. If anybody knows any high schools that they would love for us to come chat to, let us know. We're always on the reach out, and we're always trying to create that outreach and build that bridge to kind of keep a lot of the kids in check and keep them responsible and help them understand that not only how they carry themselves on the field but off the field is extremely important. The decisions that they make, and a lot of things coincide and correlate with being successful, not only as an individual and collectively, but also outside the game of soccer. So within school as well. So it's been awesome to connect with so many high schools, to continue to grow the game individually, to continue to grow the game within group sessions, and continue just to grow beyond goals, in which what we think is an extremely important asset in addition to a lot of people out there.
Caught up with Darlington Nagby the other day. You caught up with Atlanta driver Darlington Nagby. That will be fun.
That is it's funny because I think I was on my way home as well. I think he said they stopped him at a gas station, but I'm actually glad that they stopped him at a gas station because he was probably at McDonald's a drive-through right before then. So picking up his daily Big Mac meal. So I don't know how that guy still had a 14 pack. But guy, he's one guy that we can't have on the show and to speak about nutrition.
No,
we have to speak about other things, because if it was nutrition, we'd probably ask, how in the world does this guy eat whatever the heck he wants and still is able to perform at such a high level? Yeah, exactly. But I know that's something we've also been implementing as well. I think we're super excited about that, as well as it's kind of to dive in the mindset of a lot of these players. Whether they're ex-teammates, whether they are guys who've been playing in the league for so long, and kind of help people understand that it's not only Mike and I that think certain ways, to kind of dive into their mindsets and see what guys that are currently playing, don't play anymore, what their takeaways from certain situations and how they dealt with certain situations within the game.
All right. We've gone added time with you on this Friday. Thanks again. Great to see you as always, my friend. We will catch up with you soon. Your friends at Beyond Goals on the Friday Free Kick. Greg Garza, great to see you.
Thanks for always having me, bud. Take care.
All right. That's Greg Garza, and it's always great to have Greg show up. I know that, Sam, one of the questions that you had was about Jason and Mike. And thanks to Jason Nix. Yes. Jason Longshore. Jason Nix, Jason Long. That's why I went full name. Jason has been battling long COVID since basically June. And the energy levels that it takes to be at 100%, it's a challenge. And so that's why Jason will be coming on as a guest when we get into soccer season. And yes, and Mike, because Mike has added responsibilities at 92.9. He's like one of the major domos now. And so we're going to figure out when we can have Mike on a weekly basis, figure out when we can have Jason on a weekly basis. And also this gives Jason the chance, as Nix, as you said, that Jason can focus on Atlanta soccer tonight and do that at 92.9. And that's fantastic that, Mike and everybody at 92.9 is investing in that as well. So combination of things, but it is a combination of long COVID and recovering and energy levels. And I mean, to do a weekly show, or do a daily show like we do here, and this being our 7th season, I mean, it is 2 hours a day, sometimes a little less depending on content. But it's a slog at times. It's a long slog at times. but it's just a lot of different factors with Jason. It's long COVID. It's that recovery. It is the work at 92.9. It is the work with Atlanta United. And but yeah, and I wholeheartly recommend you catching up with Mike and Jason on Stoppage Time when they do that on a weekly basis on Twitch and on the 92.9 The Game Facebook page. Make sure that you bookmark Atlanta Soccer Tonight. If you can't listen to it live or listen to it late, it is always on your favorite podcatcher, the Odyssey app, Off the Woodwork at 929thegame.com. Bunch of different places where you can catch up with that. But no, Jason has, Jason will be a guest. Mike will be a guest when we get into soccer season, and they can figure out when they can drop by. Jessica Charman will be dropping by occasionally as well when we get into full-blown soccer season to get her perspectives on GK Union and the team that is up 85 a couple of hours. We'll catch up with her on that and anything else that's on her mind, because we know that there's a lot of topics that you guys want to talk about with her as well. So when we get into the season, it'll be Jarrett and Nick and me and guests, and Dylan Butler is going to be back. Nico Moreno, we're catching up with Nico later today, so that'll be up on the network. I want to say 4:30. So it'll be Nico for a half hour. You'll get a half-hour break. Then 5:30 is when we start Game of the Week. It's the El Clasico, part of the 985 Copa. Gainesville and Johnson Gainesville tonight. That's going to be fun. And so Jason and I will be up at Johnson Gainesville in the dungeon for the call starting at 5:30 and 7:30 for the two matches. But Nico Moreno at 4:30, the doubleheader with Johnson Gainesville and Gainesville from the dungeon on the campus of Johnson Gainesville, brought to us by our friends at Kaiser Permanente. That will be at 5:30 and 7:30. And then we all can rest a little bit before we get back into it on Monday. Just to let you know, yes, and trust me, Nick, I'd like to have Jillian and Kevin Patrick dropping by as well. We'll be sending out the bat signal for them. We do have our schedule kind of mapped out for the games of the week. And Valentine's Day, it is the Walton Parkview doubleheader. So that'll probably start at 5:30 as well from Raider Valley. Then next Friday, the 17th, it is Central Carroll hosting Villa Rica. So we'll be out in the Western Frontier for that. On the 21st, doubleheader at McIntosh, Dalton and Pacelli taking on the Chiefs. We'll be there for that on the 21st. Then on the 24th, it's Central Gwinnett and Mill Creek. So that is your up-to-date schedule for what's going on the high school soccer game of the week for SDH, brought to us by our friends at Kaiser Permanente. Busy times here at SDH, but no, thanks to all of you guys for hanging out with us and being a part of the conversation, as you always do. And we will keep an eye on everything. No, hey, it is Jason. It is all of us who are working, Nick. So I appreciate the love and saying making me work, but no, it is Jason and Jarrett and Nick and myself. We are all part of it. David, don't know if we have previews for every contacts for every MLS team, but I'm sure we can reach out to some folks. Yeah, we've got Charlotte covered, NYC, Red Bulls with Dylan. Houston, we probably could reach out to Glenn Davis and see what's going on there. Nashville, we've got them covered. Lucas Panzica, who worked the Chattanooga FC game with me at 104.5 the Zone. We're going to have Lucas on before the season starts just to kind of catch up with what's going on in Nashville now that they're back here in the Eastern Conference. Seattle, we'll try to get as close to many as we can, but that's why we like to have the national folks on. Nico, who based in Seattle, but he knows what's going on out west. So, and Dylan, we kind of have as our national guy in the East, but we'll see what we can do and navigate everybody as we get close. I love the idea, David. We'll see what's going on with that. Yeah, and then Kevin Egan does have, in fact, 17 jobs. Kevin Patrick needs to talk to Kevin Egan, make sure that he can actually breathe. So you got all that stuff. But no, thanks for everybody who was part of the conversation this morning with Greg Garza. Great to have Greg back on as the Globetrotter. Greg is finally back in Atlanta. But, yeah, there's the picture of him talking to the Walton High School team. And that was very, very cool to kind of get into that idea of mentoring as well. Since it is past the top of the hour. Wow, we've really gone past the top of the hour today. Okay. So here's what we'll do. We're going to take the music down to 12 because I think that's what we have all agreed to is the acceptable level. Knock it out of loop. Turn on rock and roll, and away we go. Time to read a promo from our friends at Eliminize Service. QR code over my left shoulder for those of you watching on Twitch. For odor-free, clean, fresh air, one place you need to go. And it's Eliminize Service. Deodorizing enclosed spaces like houses, apartments, and condos. They've created a customized solution that eliminizes all organic odors, including those like pets, cigarettes, and food. Realtors and property managers use Eliminize Service to eliminate bad odors to help them sell or rent their homes that much faster. Turnkey process makes it easy to work with said realtors and property managers. Green way of going about things. No toxic residue. Getting rid of their odors. Very kind to the environment. We like that these days. Different than Febreze or our favorite masking agents that we have either above us in the cupboard or below us in the sink, because when you reach above you in the cupboard or below you in the sink, below the sink, pull out that masking agent, you spray that masking agent in the air. There's a reason they call it a masking agent. It just masks the odor. It does not attack the problem all the way down to the molecule like our friends at Eliminize Service do with their proven scientific formula. Pricing one of two ways, either by the cubic foot or parts per million, to come up with a price that's affordable for you. Offering results in 24 hours or less. If you have any questions, frequently asked or otherwise, one place you need to go, it's the website, and this is where I pick up my pen. Homework assignment, eliminize.com, but after the .com, go /Atlanta so they know what part of the world that you are addressing them from so they can help you with your problem. ELIMINIZE.com /Atlanta, eliminize.com /Atlanta for odor-free, clean, fresh air. Eliminize Service, proud sponsors of everything SDH on a Freestyle Friday. Once again, thanks to Greg Garza, Michael Parkhurst, joining us every single Friday at 11 o'clock, at 9:30 in the morning. And this way, they get to let you know what else is going on in their world as they are impacting the next generation, their parents, and everyone else that is around them. David's asking, what's the Apple MLS hack? Buy an Apple gift card at Kroger, get 4 times fuel points or discount gift cards at Costco. That's an interesting one. I have to think about that. So, but do you want to get our Apple overlords mad? And happy 10th day, day 10 of MLS season pass for those of you who are celebrating. And DM Tim, I try to please. Any chance I get where I can really, and I imagine that when I sang it, that very, very moment, exactly. I thought that, you could hear Jason's eyes roll from there. I figured that Jason's ears were burning in that exact moment. Hey, and Inter Miami not wasting any time. They've got their Joseph Inter Miami profile ready. Burn, take full credit. Bringing the Friday song back, as you should. And once again, I apologize for hitting the mute button as many times as I do, because I'm in coughing fits. Had one at 3:45 this morning. It was awesome. I recommend them. But yeah, trying to dispose of the first winter cold of the year. It's amazing. I guarantee it. Going through all of our thoughts and questions this morning. Obviously, we had opening kickoff involving CR37. Good for you. You scored 4 times. Fantastic. Amazing. Love it. Emilio, don't know. Yeah, Emilio's asking about Derek Etienne and bringing him along is at the pacing that the coaching staff wants. So we'll see. I don't know. And Coco's expecting a 2018 Gressel type year now that the Minotaur is there. The tank is there now. 4-card, bite your tongue. I know Atlanta United fans are like, bite your tongue, 4-card. you look at everything. Sam says that you saw Gignac sign a 2-year extension with Tigres. I think Gignac is going to be at Tigres until he's like 74 years old, and he's still going to produce. They'll bring him in the final 20 minutes, and he'll be like the Bishop Joveljic at LAG this past couple of years. Bring him in the final 20. He's going to get you a goal. You're going to salvage either a point or you're going to salvage full. There you go. That's what I think with Gignac. Yakimakis, Coco says a different gravity to him than Joseph, but he will have gravity. And hoping Almada turns it into a 15-10 year. Folks will not complain. Let's see. 4-card, don't know. We'll see. We'll see if anybody. But the thing is about Eric Lopez, remember, when Eric Lopez was brought here, he only had 12 first-team matches to his dossier. So he was here to learn. He was here to get reps, and he got put into first-team reps immediately. And so, it's all about learning and getting these first game reps that are associated with it. So that's what Eric Lopez, I think, needs to focus on right now. He needs to focus on playing, wherever that is. He needs to focus on playing, getting experience, getting minutes, and becoming the athlete that he wants to become and show the game that he's capable of, regardless of where that is. Tom was the one who said with Joseph, some of it, the comparison, some of it will be undue just because who he is replacing. So there you go. Yes, Tom was the one who said it. So we'll keep an eye on Yakimakis, keep an eye on Eric Lopez and Sam. Young, learning. Just let him be young, let him learn, let him get first team minutes. Just let him cook. Exactly right. Let him cook. Also on the board, Emilio Sosa, you don't need your hands. I mean, it was a cast around your wrist. You don't need unless you're bodying up on folks. Last time I checked, this is a no-no, touching it with your hand. Santi Sosa, when he's healthy, is a fantastic 6. And I know I just prefaced it by saying when he's healthy. I'm looking forward to a full 90-minute Santi Sosa and having Ozzie Alonso coming in with 20 minutes to go and shutting the door. That's what I'm looking forward to. Don't have an update on Ozzie's health or status yet, but in a perfect world, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for Santi Sosa as your 6, Ozzie Alonso coming in and shutting the door in the final 20 minutes and bringing it home with all of the sandpaper that's attached. So that's what you're hunting for right there. Yes, CR37 and the road to relevancy. All right, so Ricky Ricardo chasing after Tommy Scoops. Mensa to the Quakes. Very, very interesting. Mensa to the Quakes. So, of course, for whatever reason, my computer is slow to load. But, yes, Ricky, I know. I'm sorry. I made fun of CR37. It's just 4 goals. It's 500 league goals for CR37. Good for you. San Jose Earthquakes have agreed to a deal for defender Jonathan Mensah in a trade with the Crew. Last year of his contract, San Jose would cover the total salary. My guess is they're going to want to sign him to an extension. That's a good piece of business for Crew, making sure that you have an asset and you get rid of the asset while it still has value instead of waiting and then not getting anything in return in a free agency situation. San Jose picks up Jonathan Mensah. That's very, very interesting. So we'll keep an eye on that. Don't know, DM Tim. Don't know about Sadich. And haven't seen him. Like I said, I haven't seen him in any preseason games because there hasn't been a chance to see him in any preseason game. Do not know. But seen him in practice stills down in Mexico City. There was the one with Almada and Gutman with Sadich. So we'll see. But have not seen him in any minutes. But yeah, it does seem, and Ricky, to your point about Jonathan Mensah, it does seem like a big loss for Columbus this close to the season. We'll see what Wilfred Nancy has when it comes to plans. But I have seen Omar Sadic in practice, still photographs, DM Tim. So I know that Omar Sadic does, in fact, exist. Also on the board this morning, and thanks for everybody for asking the questions to Greg Garza, because I think that should be, I'm glad that you guys are jumping on that as well, because whenever you guys have questions, they're looking at the Twitch pitch too. So when you guys have questions for Greg and for Michael on Fridays, I only did it once, so I'll only do it the one time. For that particular day of the week, it's good that you guys are asking about the club. Will, 15 days away, how do you think you line up against San Jose? All things being equal and folks being healthy, it's probably, and then once again, the midfield will be the question because of how you want to line up against San Jose. Brad, Gutman, Miles, Purata, Lennon, Almada, Santi Sosa can't, so it's probably Sadic or Ibarra and Hosechu. And then up top it is, I'm guessing Etienne, don't know his health status, Yakamakis and Aruju. Is it Wiley on the left if he's not? Is it Machop Chol on the left if he's not? So that's where I'm thinking. Sam, so we mentioned Mike Conti and all the guests. Also on the board this morning. Okay, so we are caught up in the 9 o'clock hour comments. So yeah, in a perfect world, something like that. Brad, Gutman, Miles, Purata, Brooks, probably Sadic or Ibarra at your 6, Hosechu, Almada. If it's not Etienne, it's Machop or Caleb Wiley perhaps on the left, Yakamakis up top, Aruju on the right. So that's what you're staring at. ESPN Brazil reporting Carlo Ancelotti is going to be the next head coach of the Brazilian national team, taking the job this summer. And Carlo said, "Yo, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about." Interesting. So Carlo's focused on what he's looking at right now. I don't know anything about this. I don't even know what they reported in Brazil. I'm Real Madrid coach. My contract is until June 2024, according to Fabrizio Romano. That's a lot of expectation. Whoever is the Brazil national team manager, that's a lot of expectation. But yeah, the first thing that popped into my head, Ricky, when you posted that was Different Strokes and Gary Coleman. What you talking about, Willis? I don't know what you talking about. Carlo Ancelotti. I could just see him doing that. I don't know what you're talking about. But the quote, Brazil national team, I don't know anything about this. I don't even know what they reported in Brazil. I'm Real Madrid coach. My contract is until June of 2024. But he has done wonders at Real Madrid. And right now, it's like, what do you want? What do you want to do in your career? Do you want to keep rolling at Real Madrid? Do you want to chase after Champions League? Do you want to chase after La Liga championships? Do you want to continue to put your thumb on Barcelona and sit there and go, ha, 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 ha? Or do you want a national team gig? That's where it is with Carlo Ancelotti right now. Pep Guardiola this morning on his future at Manchester City, quote, I'm not moving from this seat. I can assure you more than ever I want to stay. Sometimes I have doubts. 7-8 years in the Premier League is a long time, but now I don't want to move on. So we'll see when it comes in. We'll see when it comes in and rolling forward. Marcelo Gallardo is not going to be the new manager at Leeds. Concrete proposal for Gallardo. Argentine thanked them since his intention was to take over only halfway through the year. So I'm guessing maybe if it was a longer-term deal, or if he started at the beginning of the season, you had a caretaker that took you to the end of the year, you stayed up, Gallardo would want to hop on right then and there. But Marcelo Gallardo is not going to happen with it's not going to happen right now with Leeds United. Also on the board this morning, we've got matchups this weekend. We'll get into that in just a little bit. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo, things left unsaid. There's all of that. Jurgen Klopp said that he left on Sunday in an average mood, and it made sense for him not to see his players for 2 days after the 3-0 defeat to Wolves. Daniel Levy admits that the Spurs have made transfer errors, released their financial results for the year ending in June of 22. In a statement, Daniel Levy admitted some transfers, quote, have not worked out as planned, end quote. Club's total revenue increased almost 23%. Loss for the year was £50 million, down from 83. Revenue increased to £440 million. And first full season since the pandemic from attending matches. Also, club defended their position earlier this month when questioned by Spurs supporters' trust over their transfer spending, which has seen them invest more than $500 million since 2019 in the first team. Daniel Levy, in a statement, reinforced the club's commitment in the transfer market, although the money they've spent hasn't always paid off. Our spend levels, quote, our spend levels show we've invested in the team. However, we walk a fine line between long-term investment and short-termism. This is why our recruitment must be first class, as mistakes at this level have a financial and sporting impact for future seasons. We have felt and continue to feel the financial impact of supporting player purchases which have not worked out as planned. We've taken steps to improve this area of operations when we believe the recent transfer windows will reflect this. Our aim has always been to combine the financial stability of the club with remaining competitive on the pitch. We have to do what is right for us and sustainable in the long term. Signings since the summer of 2019. There's a lot of them. Tanguy Ndombele, Richarlison, Christian Romero, Yves Bissouma, Reguilon, Sessegnon, Bergwijn, Lo Celso, Emerson Royale, Brian Gill. Remember these guys? Those are the ones that are north of £20 million. 10 worth more than £20 million. Richarlison, Christian Romero, Yves Bissouma for the 22-23 season. So that's what you're looking at in your top 10 signings on the board. Tottenham spent another $47 million in the January window on Arnaud Danjuma and Pedro Porro. Although Chelsea's spending spree, once again from our friends at Sky, has alarm bells ringing across Europe and stressed a greater reliance on financial fair play. Landscape of the Premier League has changed significantly in the last decade. Understandable, some fans call for more spending, from much of which is unsustainable for many clubs. Competing in a league which we've seen increased sovereign wealth ownership and consortia finance, those are big words, and in a league where the spending power is now vested in the hands of a few who dominate and have the ability to distort the market. 8 signings for Chelsea, £323.3 million. Badiashile, Santos, Datro Fofana, Felix, Mudryk, Madueke, Malagusto, Enzo Fernandez, accounting for basically a third of that. So Daniel Levy trying to make the point this morning, we got to do better. Because when we don't do better, the ish hits the fan, and that's not good for us financially. So Daniel Levy comes out this morning and says that we could have done better. Pep Guardiola also said that he is fully convinced Manchester City is innocent after being charged by the Premier League for allegedly breaching financial fair play rules. And first thought is we've already been condemned. Lucky we live in a country where everyone is innocent until proven guilty. It seems like we have been sentenced already. What is going to happen, I don't know. We have good lawyers, and I know we're going to defend our position. So since Abu Dhabi took over the club, it has been like that since day one. I'm fully convinced we will be innocent. This happened with the UEFA. And this is speaking in May of 22. This happened with UEFA. It is the same articles, the same accusations. We will defend ourselves like what happened in the UEFA situation. The court will dictate what happens. In May of 22, I'm fully convinced we'll be innocent since Abu Dhabi took over the club. It's been like that since day one. So, sorry, there you go. That's what you're looking at for Manchester City. Jurgen Klopp has urged the players to show Liverpool are special against Everton. Manchester United, 4 serious bids are expected next week. When it comes to Manchester United, Reign have asked for bids to be submitted by the end of next week. 4 serious bids are expected. Sir Jim Ratcliffe, USA and Saudi Arabia, Qatari investors. Ratcliffe is working with J.P. Morgan and Goldman Sachs. J.P. Morgan worked with the Glazers when they bought United in a leveraged buyout back in 2005. Ed Woodward was at J.P. Morgan at the time and worked on the deal. Qatari investors are interested. They will not overpay. Glazers are believed to be looking for a sell price of $6 billion, with the club valued at 3.2 on the New York Stock Exchange. United shares were almost up 9% Thursday, closed at a near record high of $25.39, valuing the company at $4.18 billion. Share price has doubled since the Glazers have put the club up for sale in November. Strange how that works. Qatar has made no secret of the fact that it wants to invest in more sports. Investors involved are not PSG owners QSI, it is QIA. J.P. Morgan, Goldman Sachs also prepared to provide financing to cover Manchester United's existing £660 million debt. If Ratcliffe decides to bid for the club, United have lost £230 million over the past 3 years. And remember, J.P. Morgan was a major backer of the Super League 18 months ago. Also advising Liverpool along with Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, as they're looking forward to that FSG is looking to sell some or all of their shares. So you got that when it comes to Manchester United. So keep an eye on those bids working our way forward. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo. Gossip involving players, possible transfers, things like that. Remember, the Turkish window is still open. Other countries are still open either to the end of this week or a little further. Manchester United interested in signing Ben Chilwell in the summer. PSG will make a move for Pep Guardiola if he leaves the English club. That's from Fichajes. That's in Spanish. Chelsea have identified Victor Osimhen as their top forward target for the summer transfer window. Inter Milan want to renew Chelsea striker Romelu Lukaku's season-long loan at the club in the summer. Meeting with the Blues about the Belgium international's future likely to take place in March. That's from a Gazzetta dello Sport. LAFC do not believe they will be able to convince Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang to join them on a short-term loan move from Chelsea. I think all they really need to do is point at Gareth Bale and say, hey, look, dude, this happened. Probably would be the same kind of paperwork from John Thorrington. Wash, rinse, repeat. You figured out how to do it with Bale. You'll do it again with any other big name that you want to walk in the door. But remember that wording about Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang and LAFC comes from the 4-letter paper. Take the information at your own peril. Also from the 4-letter paper. Tottenham interested in Crystal Palace defender Mark Gahey as they look to sign 2 new central defenders for next season. RB Leipzig may be looking to re-sign Naby Keita in the summer after they had a deadline day bid rejected by Liverpool. That's on Bild. Franck Kessie turned down a move to Spurs in the January window, according to Sport. Ajax stepping up their attempts to land Liverpool sporting director Julian Ward when he departs his role at Anfield at the end of the season. Leeds, now that they cannot have Gajardo, now they've gone down to Arne Slot, the Feyenoord manager. That's from our friends at the Times. Sorry. Barcelona want to extend the contract of Sergi Busquets, Mundo Deportivo. Liverpool keeping close tabs on Birmingham City and England youth international George Hall. Everton and Leeds also interested in the 18-year-old midfielder at Football Insider. At the Telegraph, there is a story up disputing that Everton is the worst run franchise in all of English football, and it has been volunteered Birmingham City is the worst run franchise in the British football pyramid, the English football pyramid. Good story there. Read up on that. That might be your requested reading of the day on Birmingham City. Also, Barca pursuing a deal possibly for Benjamin Pavard at Bayern Munich in the summer from Mundo Deportivo. Former Leicester City teammates Danny Simpson and Danny Drinkwater are among a group of unemployed footballers organizing kickabouts to keep fit. It's an interesting feature piece over at the Telegraph. Joao Felix says he's unsure if he'll stay at Chelsea when his loan deal from Atletico Madrid runs out at the end of the season, as the Blues don't have an option to buy him included in the deal. And that would make sense. You know, there's no option to buy. I don't know if I'm staying. Just don't get any more red cards. Maybe being on the field would help out. Just a thought. That's your run from the BBC. Your look at the papers from our friends at Sky. Let's see if we can find what the papers have to say this morning. And let's see, Tariq Lamptey. Feel like this is just the start. ESL promotion proposals. The Final Four in the Women's Champions League has been announced as well. So there's that. Southampton fans want Nathan Jones out. Understandably so, considering you're last in the table, and you're still last in the table. David Raya has put the contract talks on hold at Brentford after rejecting a new deal last month. Spurs, Manchester United, Chelsea have all been linked with the informed keeper. He'll have just a year left on his current deal with a scramble for a signature expected in the summer. Brighton's Tariq Lamptey had an interview with Sky. Assistant manager John Kennedy insists Ange Postecoglou is firmly focused on Celtic amid links with the vacant job at Leeds. Quoting John Kennedy, "We've tied him to the chair." We'll keep an eye on that. Graham Potter, when he was asked about it today, nothing new on Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. He's been training well, conducted himself well, good professional, training well, acts well. He's been supporting his teammates while he's here. He's doing what he needs to do, end quote. So there's that. So he's doing what he needs to do. Remember, that's what we were saying about a guy like George Bello with Greg Garza. Ernest Lott says he's ruled himself out of the running since we mentioned Leeds an hour ago. In his press conference this afternoon, "It's true that I'll stay at Feyenoord. I can say that with this one. That's clear. Fans don't have to be afraid. It was a compliment that a club like Leeds was interested, but we're working on something great with Feyenoord. We're in great shape with the league, the cup, and Europe," end quote. So Ernest Lott apparently is not leaving Feyenoord, despite what some of the papers might have said this morning. Interesting run here. Glasgow City, and this is women's soccer news. SWPL leaders Glasgow City have signed USA striker Miracle Porter. Recent spells with the Lithuanian champs Gintra and Stade de Reims in France, eligible to play in the fifth-round tie against Aberdeen. Jimmy J. Morgan, 17-year-old forward, is signed from Southampton. And he is now at Chelsea. And so we'll keep an eye on that one. Goals and 5 assists, 13 appearances for the Saints youth team, represented England at the U17 level. Also on the board this morning, Gajardo waiting on the Spurs or Liverpool job. He might be. Not a fit at Leeds. Will went to one of the first meetings for Huntsville City supporters groups and DM'd him with the question, "How was it?" For those of you that missed it, we've got the one-on-one with Jack Collison. Caught him after practice yesterday. That's up on the SDH app, available on iOS and Android. You can catch our conversation there. Catch our conversation with Mauricio Ruiz from Jack's USL. It's great to catch up with him, find out how things are going there as they're chasing after the USL Championship in 2025. You've got they're trying to figure out their location for their multi-use complex. They're trying to figure out what their team name is going to be, all that stuff coming up in short order. But it was very cool to catch up with Jack's USL and with Jack Collison yesterday, as they have a match tomorrow, I believe, is their first match against Birmingham Legion at Protective in Birmingham. And by the way, news for the Legion, a friend of the network, Kaylor Hodges, completely and totally excited. Lady Legion coming to the USLW. Birmingham Legion is announcing a USLW side for this upcoming season. Very cool stuff out of Birmingham. So we'll keep an eye on that. And there's apparently a meet and greet. That might have been last night. There's a meet and greet with Jack at one of the coffee places in Huntsville. I think that's today. So, yes, Will, keep us posted on everything going on in Huntsville, especially when it comes to Jack Collison. Alex, Everton was just recently noted as one of the best run clubs in the PL due to their financial stability. Go figure. Yeah. How's it working out for him? Mbappe Madrid saga. Uh-oh. Okay. All right, Ricky. What are you sending my way now? As it loads. I know that makes for fantastic radio. As we look at other things. Oh, you got to meet Chad Emerson last night. Okay, very cool. Kylian Mbappe, this is from our friends at Transfer News Live. From Mario Cortegana. Mbappe wants to leave PSG and join Real Madrid. He can do so for free in 24 if he doesn't extend his contract at PSG. So from Mario Cortegana, covering Real Madrid for the Athletic. 132,000 followers on the Twitters. So he might be something tier one-ish. So we'll keep an eye on Mbappe and Real Madrid. First thing, Mbappe's got to get healthy after that injury to his to his thigh or his knee. Got to keep an eye on that too. So Will says that he got to meet the managing director of Hunt City, Chad Emerson, 9 years as CEO of Downtown Huntsville Incorporated, responsible for revitalizing downtown Huntsville. New information about the stadium. Members of the supporters groups are going to get to do a hard hat tour in April once it's closed. They've already sold over 2,000 season tickets, the most in MLS Next Pro. Business model for the team's short term is to have USL Championship players come in instead of academy players. The meet and greet was from 8 to 9 this morning. Couldn't go because of work. Come on, Will. But okay, yeah, and you look at some of the 10 names that were signed by Hunt City. You've got Nicky Law and John Berner. You've got Asad Liati and Jonathan Bolaños. Off the top of my head, those four are experienced in USL Championship, USL League One, and they give you that experience. And Jack mentioned the number of folks that are being brought in for trials and things like that. And so it will be interesting to see what the final roster looks like. But you've got Berner to help you with your keepers. You've got Nicky Law to help you out in the midfield. And these are also assistant coachships too. So they're going to be there to have that experience available for you on the field as they're playing. So yeah, Berner, Nicky Law, Asad Liati, Jonathan Bolaños. That's pretty good when it comes to experience out of the blocks. So will be very intriguing to see what happens with our friends at Hunt City as they continue to grow. And obviously we'll make it a almost like a rolling invitation for Jack and anybody that wants to drop by and talk about stuff. It's the official term, stuff. The Nashville Academy is small right now. They can win games, sell players directly from Hunt City to MLS. Finished up with the first ever Hunt City chant. Okay. And yes, priorities, Nick. Absolutely. But yeah, so you got your first ever Hunt City chant. Well done. And like I said, this is cool. I mean, to see Hunt City develop the way that it has, and we've talked about it here on the network for a long time. You know, Will, since you've been one of our most active listeners, that, you know, you put something there, you're within the reach of Nashville, and we'll see where it goes. But the fact that you've got over 2,000 season tickets and the renovating of Joe Davis Stadium, that's very, very cool. And I'm glad that things are proceeding there in Huntsville the way that they are. Yes, Mbappe Madrid 2 Electric Boogaloo. Absolutely correct. And as we get ready for AmFam 2 Electric Boogaloo coming up in short order on Wednesday. Character limit on Twitch, putting the whole of your thoughts in the Discord. Okay. Will has too many things to say, and Twitch is telling him that he can't do it. So continue following Will's conversation over in the Discord. And thanks to everybody who continues to subscribe and be a part of our family here and help us pay the bills and keep the lights on. So thanks to all of you guys every single time out here on the Twitch pitch. Yes, and that's the other thing. Hunt City scarves. Hunt City scarves have to be purchased. The gear has to be made available. And I will find space. I will find space to have a Hunt City scarf here on the air. Yep, 6,000 at Joe Davis when it's done. A local beer garden in the stadium. Very good, very, very cool. All right, so Hunt City is on a roll. Very, very cool stuff there. Let's see. What else is on? We've got to do soccer on TV for the weekend and juice boxes before we go. Soccer on TV today and on Saturday. Turkish Super League is supposed to be on at noon. I don't think there's been anything made clear about the league itself because I haven't seen anything posted about any games going on. I mean, you've got long lines for food. You've got folks still trying to be rescued out of rubble after 4 days. And Christian Atsu apparently is still missing, even after the initial reports that he was rescued out of the rubble. I mean, when you have Gaziantep and Hatayspor part of the league and folks are still trying to be rescued from rubble after the 2 earthquakes, there's a different set of priorities. Definitely a different set of priorities. And I'm scanning to see when we get to the noon kicks if in fact these kicks are going to be there and available. And I'm not seeing anything. So Besiktas and Ankara-Gucu was supposed to be at noon. And I'm scanning back to my noon kicks here. World Friendlies. Poland, Cyprus, no, nothing on the board for the Turkish Super League, understandably so. Liga on BN and BN and Espanyol at 3 o'clock, Nice and Ajaccio. Liga MX on FS2, 10 o'clock. It is Xolos and Atletico San Luis. Might be AGM and American legend Kobe Jones. ESPN Deportes, 3 o'clock, Cadiz and Girona. Fox Deportes on the simulcast at 10 o'clock with Tijuana and ASL. On the plus, Eredivisie at 2 o'clock. AZ Alkmaar, chance to see possibly Georgi Mihailovic going up against Excelsior. Bundesliga 2:30, Schalke and Wolfsburg, Belgium. Club Brugge and Union Saint-Gilloise, 2:45. FA Cup, Hearts and Hamilton Academical. 3 o'clock championship, Birmingham City, West Brom. See one of the worst run teams in all of English football at 3 o'clock. And Cadiz and Girona on the plus at 3 o'clock. Argentine Primera doubleheader on Paramount Plus. Central Cordoba, Belgrano, Colón and Sarmiento, 2:45. Serie A Milan and Torino. VIX Plus, Liga MX Puebla and Mazatlan is at 8. Tomorrow, it is Ligue 1 on BN, and if you don't have BN or Gold TV or TIC and you want to subscribe to Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here, and you can get all of the info you need, all the leagues that you need. You can completely overdose on a lot of lower division stuff. You've got Portugal, Brazil, Central America, and everything else that's there. fntz.co/soccer down here for everything going on in the world of Fanatis when you subscribe. Monaco PSG at 11 a.m., Clermont, Foot, and Marseille at 3. CBS Sports Network, German Frauen Bundesliga, Bayern Munich contract Frankfurt, 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. FS2, the third place match in the Club World Cup, Flamengo and Al Ahly is at 10:30. Real Madrid and Al Hilal is your final at 2. CONCACAF U17s, Canada, Trinidad, and Tobago at 5. USA, Barbados at 8. English Premier League on Big NBC at 12:30. Bournemouth and Newcastle. USA has doubleheader at 7:30 and 10. West Ham, Chelsea, Southampton, and Wolves. BN and ESPN Deportes. BN is simulcasting BN Sports and Liga. ESPN Deportes triple header in La Liga, Almeria, Real Betis, Sevilla, Mallorca, Valencia, and Athletic. Fox Deportes is simulcasting Liga MX and the Club World Cup. 2 to NA at 10 o'clock on Saturday night, Pachuca, Guadalajara, Universo. Simulcasting your 3 matches, West Ham, Chelsea, Southampton, Wolves, Bournemouth, and Newcastle. Univision, Liga MX, Pachuca, Guadalajara at 10. AHA football, Serie A Femenil, 6:30 and 8:30 in the morning. On the Plus, there's a boatload of stuff, as is on Paramount Plus. Belgium at 10 a.m., 6 matches in the Bundesliga, 1 match Bundesliga B, 1 match Eredivisie involving PSG. Wigan and Huddersfield, 2 strugglers in the championship, both trying not to be relegated. La Liga triple header, La Liga Smart Bank, Las Palmas and Lugo, Celtic and St. Mirren in the Scottish Cup at 12:30. Paramount Plus, 5 matches to access in the Argentine Primera, 3 in Serie A, English Women's Super League, Manchester City, Arsenal at 7:30. Peacock, 5 matches in the Prem, 4 of the 10 o'clockers, and your 12:30 with Bournemouth and Newcastle. VIX Plus, Liga MX at 6 and 8, and the CONCACAF U17s doubleheader at 5 and 8. That gets you through your Saturday. Now, games today with juice boxes on the board. And getting into the early afternoon right now, early afternoon, 1:30. You're still in Europe. You're still in lower divisions. Still got a lot of that going on. And getting into activity, where are the games that we can really talk about here? Serie B, 2:30, Genoa Palermo. Genoa's a favorite at home. Let's see. Northern Ireland, Scotland, Argentina, lower divisions. Birmingham, West Brom. We talked about that one at 3 o'clock. West Brom's a plus 104. Carlos Corberán signs a new contract to stay there instead of going to Leeds. Birmingham at home is a plus 278. Cadiz and Girona. Girona's a favorite on the road at 3 o'clock at a plus 143. Cadiz is a plus 222. South America, Central America, lower divisions, 4 o'clock and 4:30. Liga MX Femenil doubleheader in the Clausura at 4:45. Monterrey, a big favorite at Cruz Azul. Chivas, a big favorite at home against Puebla. Campeonatos, Liga de Expansión, 6 o'clock, Atlético San Luis and Mazatlan. ASL's women are a big favorite at a minus 435. 6:05, Pachuca, big favorite on the road, and Femenil at a minus 238 against Club León. Central and South America, the Primera, the LPF, we talked about that, 7:30. Central Cordoba is a plus 158 at home, going up against Belgrano. Belgrano's a plus 194. Your draws north of plus 200. Colón Santa Fe, even money, as Sarmiento Junín is a plus 286. Your draws a plus 237. 8 o'clock, Puebla is a home favorite at a minus 132 against Mazatlan, who's a plus 338. Also, Liga MX Femenils at 8:06. Tigres, a big favorite on the road at Juarez. Lower divisions in Mexico, Xolos and Atlético San Luis at 10:10. And Club Tijuana is a minus 128 as ASL is a plus 326. And that gets you through your Sunday. Any other things before we go? 200,000 in GAM, according to our intrepid Ricky Ricardo. 200,000 in GAM plus another 300,000 in incentives from San Jose to Columbus for Jonathan Mensah. Interesting transaction by both clubs. But once again, Columbus has an asset, and what they're doing is they're getting assets in return for Jonathan Mensah, not worrying about the last year of the contract. So Will continues to, let's see, pedestrian bridge to the stadium, other breweries, probably going to be where the supporters tailgate, about a half mile of the stadium, kind of like the situation in Austin, Texas, where there are breweries that are close by Q2, and you have to walk a little bit, like a quarter mile. There's a business park that is on the other side of the train tracks, I want to say on the south side of the stadium, and you can go there and you can hang out in the breweries and things like that in that business section, and then walk to Q2 and go in the door. So it is a very, very Austin-sounding situation for Huntsville. 9 breweries. Very, very nice. Well, very, very cool. So once again, programming. Before we go, it is Thursdays with Nico on a Friday. That's going to be at 4:30 on the network. And at 5:30, we start the doubleheader. Jason and I will be at the Dungeon at Johnson Gainesville for El Clasico. And it is Johnson Gainesville, and it is Gainesville. So it is the Knights and the Red Elephants. And that is 5:30 and 7:30. Girls at 5:30 and the boys at 7:30. Remember, Johnson Gainesville last season finished with a number 4 national ranking, winning the championship. And now with reclassification, you could have a championship game, or at least the Final Four, that includes Southeast Whitfield and Johnson Gainesville. So 2 of those 4 teams, if the bracket falls out to where that is your title game, get your tickets now. It's going to be a hell of a bracket involving Johnson Gainesville. But Johnson Gainesville is going up against a team in Gainesville that's had a lot of offense so far this year. So we'll see what happens. Girls at 5:30, boys at 7:30 on the SDH Network, SDH app, and all your favorite podcatchers. And looking forward to checking out Wild Leap 2 coming up in just under 2 weeks. 2 Wednesdays down the line, Garth Lagerway hanging out at Wild Leap downtown. That one's going to be a fun one too. So busy week across the board. And thanks to all of you guys that have been here to be a part of it. We'll be back at it again later this afternoon. 2 things. Once again, remember, Thursdays with Nico, 4:30. Matches of the week on 5:30 and 7:30 on the SDH app with Johnson Gainesville and Gainesville. And that's another week here at SDH. Thanks for hanging out with us as you always do and being a part of the Twitch pitch, being a part of how things are on the audio side as well. Thanks to Greg Garza and our friends at Beyond Goals Mentoring for the Friday Free Kick, breaking things down that way. And we got AmFam Cup coming up on Wednesday. Man, it's coming up fast and furious as we go. But once again, have a great weekend, everybody. Enjoy your games. Enjoy your teams. Be safe. And make sure that you're back with us here on Monday. Since it's the end of the show, mucho plati, all played safe. And that means I get to do this. We'll be back here later this afternoon and then tonight for the Soccer Down Here Game of the Week brought to us by our friends at Kaiser Permanente. Played safe, everybody. We'll see you later today.